Ultimately, next slide, please. What the library is for is to fulfill a promise. And libraries have had promises over the ages. Libraries have had different promises over time. The Library of Alexandria, that everyone thinks of as this big collection of stuff, was actually an economic incubator. It was a multiple building facility in Alexandria where the kings and queens of Alexandria would bring the smartest people from around the known world to come and live and talk and think and develop new ideas, new weaponry, new thoughts, new economic possibilities. And yes, they would document them and they would keep them in the library, but also in the musée, which was a building dedicated to the museums, where we got the term where we got museum, right? This idea that somehow the library is a place that in the Dark Ages, in the Middle Ages, in Europe, it was seen as a place, as a repository. It's holding knowledge. It was holding this information until the Enlightenment came. But in Moorish Spain, libraries were wide open. When the Crusaders came in and took over Moorish Spain, they found 80 libraries. One library, the smallest library they found, had more volumes in it than all the volumes in France. But what was more amazing is this library was not closed off, was not cloistered, was not hidden. It was open to the entire city and was being used on a regular basis to discover things like algebra, new forms of architecture, aqueducts, new ways of building civilization, new navigation mechanisms for trade. The library was a platform for innovation. The new promise that we need to make is no longer the idea that we can take a scarce resource and collect it. That's where a lot of our public libraries were built. That's a lot of where our academic libraries still think in special collections, that this information, these books, these resources are expensive and scarce. Let's aggregate our money and pull them together. That's not the case anymore. This information that we live in, the ideas and input for innovation is everywhere. The new promise that we must make is for participation. The new promise of a library is the reason our community has a library is because if you as a community engage with that library, utilize the services of the library, work with librarians, you will be able to participate more fully in a democracy. You will be able to participate more fully in your profession, your community, your thoughts, your neighborhood, your school. We have Masters of Library Science students who come out of classes and they used to say, oh, you don't teach that class. You know what they do now? They say, we're going to teach that class. And they organize their own courses, their own lectures. Good for them. This is what we need is for community action. A library is a radical place. It is a place for radical, positive change within a community. And it doesn't do that by keeping its doors closed. It doesn't do that by reducing its hours on Sunday. It doesn't do that by getting the most bestsellers. It doesn't do that by staying open long weeks during finals week. It doesn't do that by bringing books into the classroom. It does that by unleashing ideas. It does that by unleashing knowledge and allowing the community to connect to each other. That a good school librarian is not someone who maintains a room. A good school librarian is someone who connects every student and every faculty and every administrator in their school together with what's happening and thinking new thoughts and taking a lesson plan and spreading innovation throughout. A good academic librarian is someone who knows that this person in anthropology is working on something remarkably similar to this person in literature, combining and bringing those people together for something we never thought possible before. That someone in the public library can know that someone who's dealing with this issue in city government is also being concerned by this group and this not-for-profit group and bringing them together and giving them a safe and neutral place to do that. This is what a public library is. It is a platform for innovation and learning. This is what a school library is. It is a platform for innovation and learning, an academic library, a government library, a special library. These are platforms. And the librarians in the audience today, you are the maintainers of those platforms, but you do it in direct, constant, open partnership with your communities. You do it by being part of your community. You do it by listening and co-owning what you do. You do it by being expert, but by sharing that expertise and listening to other people. Ultimately, when people look to the future of libraries, what is it? What should it be? I see a bright future. I see a future that goes well beyond whether we deal with books or ebooks or what our licensing agreements are. I see it going beyond Facebook. I see it going beyond the physical boundaries of the buildings that we're in. I see the future of libraries as immensely bright and immensely powerful, not because of what the buildings are, not because of the romance around them, not because of people like me, but because of people like you and because of people in that room. Because you need to expect more out of each other, you need to expect more out of your buildings, you need to expect more out of your programs, you need to expect more out of your community, the consumers and users. You need to expect participation, and frankly, you need to expect greatness. Every town needs to expect more. Every school needs to expect more. Every college needs to expect more. This is the promise that we bring to our communities, that we can be more and better, and we're going to learn every day. I thank you for your time. I think we have time for reactions and questions.